Yeah, we're glad you made it. Pull up a chair. Pull up a chair. This is where your faith gets activated. Hey!
From your car right to your kitchen, from the office to your street. If you're tired, if you're searching, there's a welcome at the seat. Got some laughter, got some truth, got a fire we can't contain. Sit down like family, leave standing up change, oh yeah. Welcome to the porch and the pulpit, where the real talk meets the word. Where your story meets his promise, every heart, every hurt. Cheryl and James say, come on, let your hope rise. Sing, let it live. Welcome to the porch and the pulpit. It's your midweek Sunday gift. Hey, hey.
Welcome to the Porch and the Pulpit, where faith and everyday life meet in real conversation. I'm Cheryl.
And I'm James. So pull up a chair and join us for this next exciting episode. Right, yeah. So you want to tell the people what we have in store for tonight's episode?
Alrighty, so we're keeping up our role on relationships. We talked about the dating phase, and we also talked about abstinence and celibacy.
Mhm,
And today we're going to move along to the topic of marriage.
mhm.
And we have a special guest today that James is going to introduce, and we're going to dive right in and and have some good conversation.
Yeah.
So, James, can you introduce our special guest for
I am
today?
so excited about our special guest on this episode, on our marriage episode. She is my niece. Her name is Asia, and I'm gonna let her tell you a little bit about herself. I call her the little firecracker. You know, she speaks her mind. She tells it like it is. She's she's youngin, but she knows what she's talking about. So Asia, tell us about yourself and give us a little bit of background on who you are.
Okay, well, I'm Asia Hunter Gray, some Collier. I've been married twice, so 47. I am a supervisor of behavior health. I'm currently in college for my master's degree in psychology, and after I finish that, I'll be going for my doctoral degree.
Ooh, so you
I'm
know,
a mother of 3.
nice. Yes, sir. That's good stuff. You good? Did we lose you?
Yes.
We didn't lose you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, so you are currently in school. What are you taking in school? What are you studying, Asia?
My master's degree in psychology.
Oh,
Where am I
psychology.
studying at?
I know. What are you studying? What is your field of
Psychology.
study? Psychology. Okay, so you deal with
Psychology.
mental health and those types of things. Okay, that's good stuff. Good
Correct.
stuff. Good stuff. All right, so we are going to jump into our marriage episode, and what is we're going to be talking about? No one told me that marriage would be like this. Okay, so coming from we're going to be talking to you and getting your insight on what marriage is, your experience. When it comes to marriage, and we're going to be talking about the stages of marriage, the several stages
Okay.
of marriage from the inception and as you grow in marriage. And you know about these things because, as you stated, you've been there before. You've been there before. So we want to get your
Mhm.
perspective on what this is. And as always, we get the porch perspective, which is the home perspective of how things are there, and then we always line it up, with scripture so everything can be in perfect alignment. So we're gonna jump right in, okay? So welcome and get ready. So Cheryl, you want to kick us off with some questions and insight, and let us know, take it from here a little bit.
Alrighty. So yes. So first we give a little background. So James, as we said on several episodes before, James has been married for 17, going on 18 years. I was married going on 17 or 18 years. I'm a widow now. And Asia's been down this road twice. So we wanted to, and she's currently married now. So we wanted to go down the road and go through the stages of marriage and get somebody else's perspective besides James and my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
James, for those that didn't know, well, James used to be my marriage counselor before my husband passed. I used to go to him for counseling and things for marriage. And I know Asia has gone to him for different things as well. So we, have that perspective. She'll be counseling somebody else once she graduates.
Yes, for sure, for
And
sure.
going on. So yeah. But so we, like James said, we're going to be going down the stages of marriage. So one of the first stages that we have is the honeymoon stage. And they classify the honeymoon stage as everything feels exciting. It's brand new.
Mm-hmm.
The passion is high and everything. You get those bubbles and stuff when you first see your husband and all of those things. So the question is the honeymoon phase real, or are we just overlooking flaws in that in that phase?
I think we be overlooking flaws. I think we be so high and so in love that some flaws that was there, we just didn't see it or refuse to see it, which brings us to the second stage. But yeah, I think we're just in love and in that moment.
All right. So
Okay.
all right. So we have the honeymoon stage, and usually, well, we talked about dating before we got to the marriage. So should they really be too many, really a lot of surprises when you get to the point of marriage? Because usually when you get to the date, so you have the dating phase, and then you have the engagement phase, and then you have the wedding stage. So there's, different time frames in between that. So, and to get into to that honeymoon stage where, you're bright new into the marriage, what is it that you think is missed in that stage, in the honeymoon stage? What things do you think that's missed after you've gone through the dating and the engagement and all of that?
Communication, compromising. It's no longer I, me, it's us. It's hard to bring that us, we, and our into that. So I think that's where a lot of it we start going left.
Okay.
Okay. Uh,
So I got
So I have a question, Jane. Sorry, before you get started, I have a question. So Asia, before you got married, did you go to marriage counseling?
No.
Okay. And I know for James and I went to one session of marriage counseling, and I know for me, that was like not enough when it came to me getting married. I know me and Asia has spoke before, and she has a blended family, and I had a blended family as well. My husband had 2 kids, and I had 2 girls. So coming together, it was more like just a quick discussion. Oh, you have kids, so have you talked about them? And yes, but it wasn't more in depth of what the everyday would look like after you got married, especially with having, children and parenting and a lot of those things that it looked like. Do you think if you would have gone through marriage counseling, you would have been better prepared going into your marriage?
Okay, so if we're gonna talk about, because I've been married twice, if we're gonna talk about the first one, I didn't know there was extra children. I was told there was only 2. So when I got married, I found that there was 2 more.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not know my first husband was a deadbeat.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, maybe, I mean, I was young. I don't even know why I got married. I think I just did it just to say I got married. But yeah, I didn't find out with the first marriage until after we were married. My current husband, I already knew about his daughter. His daughter, my and son is the same age. So we already had that conversation.
Okay. So do you think that going into it, that marriage counseling, if you would have had a couple of sessions, that would have better prepared you? or do you think you went in there somewhat prepared because you had you did it before?
So I don't know what it takes for marriage counseling because I've never been there. So maybe if I did, in this marriage that I am married now, I think marriage counseling would have helped us a lot.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So
James, you
I
have
w-
any?
so
Mhm.
with that being said, with the marriage counseling, Sean, I don't know if you know, when I did perform Asia's second marriage, I actually did do the ceremony, and I'm going to publicly
Mhm.
apologize to my niece tonight for not giving them the counseling that they needed, and I fell short on that. So I will apologize for that,
Mhm.
because I believe that's really needed. And we as ministers, as officiators, we need to do better on that with counseling people before they get married to make sure that certain things are lined up, that they know what to expect, during the course of marriage. And with the no one really knows what's going to happen in the day to day process of being married, because being married in of itself is a learning experience. But if you have the proper counseling, it will prepare you for, in the general terms, for what comes. People who
Mhm.
have been married once or twice or three times, they, you know, they have some experience, but it's not like they can be prepared in some ways. But if you have a roadmap to where you kind of can gauge things and avoid things and prepare for certain things, in the marriage, I think you'll be better prepared to deal with situations as they come up. So I apologize. Accept my apology.
Mhm.
Accept my accept my apology. So that being said, no, but seriously, that's just real talk. That's just the way I feel. So, um, when you talk, so we're going to jump to the second stage in 2 minutes. I just want to ask a question. You talked about communication, and you could correct me if I'm getting it incorrect. You said something about communication being is missing during the honeymoon stage.
No, I'm saying that's. I think I was referring that to more of what. Okay, in the beginning, in the honeymoon stage, we are doing the communicating. We're talking. Everything is butterflies and beautiful grass. I think it's where the compromising part come in.
Mm,
It's no longer you, so it's us. That's why I think that's why I'm going with it.
okay.
That's where I think that's where we start falling apart. When it's, oh no, you just can't go out like that. You have to, babe. Is there something we need to do? Not just pick up and go.
Hmm.
So it's the compromising part and the hour,
Okay, got you.
not I, me. That's how
So
it starts off.
okay, so that's good. So like I said earlier, we like to tie things up in scriptures, I have a scripture that basically goes right into what you were talking about. And when you go to the Song of Solomon or the Song of Songs, in the Old Testament portion of the Bible, there's a scripture there in Solomon 1. I'm sorry, the Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 15 and 16. And it basically says, it's compliment. And it says, "How beautiful you are, my darling," and "oh, how beautiful," right? Then it goes on in the 16th verse and
Mhm.
also gives compliments to the man. So basically, what you were saying is that during the honeymoon stages, it's a lot of compliments, a lot of reassurances, and those types of things. You're so beautiful, you're so handsome. I like the way you do this, I like the way you do that. You're complimenting each other. So when you're doing so, do you think that type of communication carries over from the dating stage into the honeymoon stage? Does it get bigger or does it diminish at some point?
It starts diminishing. I think couples forget how we got here.
Hmm.
You forget how you got into this relationship, the work that you took to get into this relationship. It's like once you get married, that's it. I don't have to tell you you're beautiful. I don't have to tell you you're handsome because we're married.
Okay.
So I think it starts declining when you get married.
Okay. So you would like to hear that more as the marriage goes along, right?
Of course, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the second stage. Okay.
So the second stage is the reality stage. And that's when the differences become more obvious. Habits and expectations collide, and arguments become more frequent. And couples begin learning who their spouse really is.
Mm-hmm. The mask come off.
So, right. So, why do so many marriages struggle during this stage? Why do you think?
Because the representative had left the building.
Come on now. I said it. I thought it, and she said it. I was like, the representative is gone, mask is off. Here
That
I am.
representative done retired. The representative done retired. Okay, now you've seen your true person. I like to call this who in the heck I married. I ain't gonna say it, but who in the heck I married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the representative is gone. That sweet, loving compliments and that person is gone.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting someone who you're not my mother. I don't have to tell you this. I'm grown.
Mm-hmm.
So you get that person like, wow, what happened that we got this person? How do we get here?
So you really get to see who they are.
Oh, you get to see who everyone is. Yes,
So if you
men and women.
so like what annoys you in during this stage of marriage? What gets under your skin? And you don't have to get crazy with it, but just what gets under your skin?
Lies.
Okay.
The lies. The not validating feelings.
Mm-hmm.
If we do have a disagreement or argument, I don't want to even say it's an argument. It's just me expressing how I feel, and it could be turned into an argument. But validation or just how I feel. I'm not asking you to agree with what I'm saying. Just validate what I feel.
No, just recognize,
So yeah,
consideration.
that's the hard part. Yeah, that's a hard part when it goes on both sides. I'm not even gonna say it's on the man's side only. It's on the female side also. So
Right.
validating feelings without it being an argument or trying to prove a point.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Child. This is where, and I'm not saying with me, and I'm going on, from stories
Yeah.
from other married
Yes.
couples. Money, finances.
Mm-hmm.
This is when you find out that they have a spending problem, or
Mm-hmm.
they sending money to they're not supposed to be sending money to.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard people started, this is the part you see them starting to cheat. So yeah.
So so how does one, when you face those obstacles like the finances, how do you approach that to have a productive discussion to how to work those things out?
Well, I'm gonna give you from two ways. My first marriage, I was the breadwinner. My husband didn't have a job; he didn't have no money. So I approached that negatively. I was putting him down. I'm gonna be honest.
And
I was making him feel less than a man because that's how I felt. My second husband, finances, it's a little different. He goes, "What you need, I'll give it to you, and you take care of it."
okay,
So
okay.
it's
So it's
different. He
like
go,
it's like day
"What
and
needs
night
to
a
be
little
paid?
bit.
Let me know how much. Yeah, you take care of it. I'm gonna give you the money, and you do what you gotta do with it." But my first husband, no.
Mhm.
I really,
So yeah,
I
okay.
want to say,
I can.
it's a great, yeah,
All right.
yeah. I put
So
him down.
So
yeah,
James, I have a question.
yes.
So when in the dating stage, or even before y'all got married and you had the engagement stage, or well, how long were you engaged before you actually got married?
To which husband?
To second. We only gonna deal with the
Okay,
second.
we're
We're
gonna
not
deal with
gonna
the
deal with
second
the
one.
Go with
first.
the second.
Okay,
To go.
Okay.
I was engaged. Okay, I was engaged for a year.
Okay. So during that year, were there certain conversations that you had, like in reference to, finances or children or anything, in that time frame that you would have asked or that y'all discussed that changed when you got married? Or did you even have those discussions before you got married and then you found out?
We did not have a discussion on finance. I can tell you about that. We didn't
Mm-hmm.
discuss finance. He worked, I work. We didn't discuss that. Children, that is not up for discussion because we're not having any. We have adult children, and that was something we agreed upon. That no, we're not doing that. And in this beautiful age we are in.
Mm-hmm.
But finances, we did not talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Finances, we did not talk about. And it came up in marriage because it's more of, okay, we want to get a house. Are we opening up a bank account? How are we doing this? Or what percentage of our money is coming out of our paycheck? And that became an, a debate. I'm not going to say an argument, a debate.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that we never discussed dating or when we were engaged.
But as
So that became a big, yeah. So it became, you know what? I'm just going to open up the bank account and I'm just going to put the money in there. That's me.
okay,
Right.
so there was little.
Yeah.
So now,
Finances.
yeah, okay,
Mm-hmm.
special. That.
Yeah, finances is one of the biggest things that is, can cause conflict within a marriage. And a lot of times, like I said, people don't discuss it until
Mm-hmm.
they get into it. Especially if you have current past debts or different things like you're in school or things like that. And, and you have that hanging, the loans and school loans and stuff hanging over your head and things like that. So yes, it can cause a lot of conflict on one person, especially what people don't realize a lot of times. Again, you have two people who have been living single and now they're bringing the two lives together, and in that process there's a lot of things that you didn't do or used to do on your own, and like you said, now you have to have consideration for what the other person is doing. So it does take a lot of communication and and talks about what what our life looks like, especially when it comes to finances and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know in my marriage we discuss. I'm in the field of finance, so I no, that's just my field. So that was something that I did, was pay the bills and do all of that. But you have to find, when people get married and they join together, they have to find out who's good at what. Or if it's the both of you, then who's going to do what. And a lot of times, like you said, that doesn't come up in dating. That then comes up in marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And it can cause a lot of conflict when you're, now at the stage of, okay, this needs to get done and it needs to get done now. And now you're now having a conversation about it. So yeah, I can definitely relate to when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to that, type of situation. Because sometimes you're looking for somebody to step up into that role of doing, and that person is not, willing to step up into that
Mm-hmm.
role or doesn't really want to step up in that role. They're looking at you as like, okay, you handle it well, so you can keep that. I just give you and you go on and do what you
Right.
got to do,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, and that's just that's the story of my life. I whether a man is here or not, I'm gonna take care of what I got to take care of. And maybe that's a bad part on my half. That comes with the I situation because I whether you stay here or not, I'm gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's more on my end also. Um, of me saying I'll take care of everything. Maybe it's me having that fear of giving somebody that lead. I don't know.
Mm,
It could be
mhm.
because
But
when you're used to
mhm.
doing things for yourself and being self-sufficient, it's hard to release that, and to say, okay, what, I'm gonna fully give it over to my husband, or and let him do whatever he needs to do. But in the back of your mind, you're like, what, I've been burned before, so I need to, make sure I have me covered, and
Right.
honestly, that's I don't really fault people for doing that because you're being careful. You're basically being aware of what's going on, and you set up precautions and things so you know, to be prepared for certain things. But you never know. I look at it like this: in a marriage, right? Both parties need to know what's going on in the marriage. Let's say it's finance, right? You got to know what's going on in the finances, know what bills need to be paid, know when the bills need to be paid, know what insurance policies how much they are, when they need to pay, who the beneficiaries are, those types of things. Why? Because you never know what happens. Okay? All right, when they get into the vows or the for better or for worse, those types of things, and the wife totally 100% relies on the husband to handle everything, and then when stuff hits the fan, you don't know what to do because John handles everything. And now you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do because, I never really did anything with the finances. He handled all the policies. So
No,
when you come
correct.
from when you
Right.
come from a perspective of being a responsible person, right? This is where the Proverbs 31 woman comes in. You have a responsibility as co-head of the household. And I'm putting it that way for a reason. You're a co-head of the household because you're responsible for what goes on in the household. So you should know bill payment, mortgage payment, insurance. It's more to running the house from one to cooking and cleaning. Being a Proverbs
Mhm.
31 woman is the businesswoman. So you got to take care of your business you're in. And when you are married, you're called to be a help to the husband. So you're basically in partnership. So it shouldn't be like, okay, he does all of this and I don't want to have nothing to do with it. You don't want to be clueless.
Mhm.
You don't want to be clueless because that'll get you hurt. You can find yourself, and I heard a story to where women were like, I don't know what to do because my husband did everything. I don't even know where the policies are. You
Mhm.
understand? So that's why you have to have that partnership and go and say, look, this is what we got. This is what you do with it. Yeah, I can give you the money, but I need to know where and what you did with it. You know what I'm saying? That partnership.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because otherwise,
Right.
you might just take the money and just flush it out the window and throw it out the window.
So
Right.
what happened
Right.
when it's not a partnership? It's just you taking care of everything.
When you say what happens when it's not a partnership and you're taking care of things, there's something y'all missed something along the way. Something was missed along the way. During the time y'all got to know each other, and up to the time something was somebody lied, somebody did something, somebody did something. Something was missed along the way. So if you find yourself in that situation, then you got to reevaluate your entire relationship. You know what I mean? Because it should not be that way. If you are married and you had discussion, whether it was a small discussion, big discussion, deep discussion, but you talked about certain things and you are now partners, you still should be able to come together and talk about things going on in your marriage. Okay?
Right.
If it,
And
if it's
common goals.
it gotta have common goals. If you are solely the person who is responsible for everything and it's an argument every time you turn around, you need to be single. I said it. You need to be single. I said it. Come for me if you want to. You need to be single. Because you're doing single business. You're doing single person business. Okay? There's a
Right.
saying that if I can do bad by myself, you don't need no
Mm-hmm.
Negro or Negress to do bad with. You understand what I'm saying? So if you
Mhm.
find yourself in a marriage and you're doing everything because of lazy Negro syndrome, you got to reevaluate that process. It's not like your husband took sick, right? It can't work. So now you know what
Mm-hmm.
to do, and you're saying, okay, for better for worse, for sickness and health, I got that. I'm rolling with it because now I'm down with it. But he's lazy. Don't want to do nothing. You got to how do you get this? That's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
And the
I
and
don't
the
want to
and
go
the
down the
key,
rabbit hole, but
right.
that's a whole other. But
Mm-hmm.
Right.
long story short, you got to reevaluate where you are. So yeah,
Exactly. Right. Yeah, and the key thing is that right, when I say so when we talk about finances, there are homes that okay, so the both of y'all work. He put his he has a certain amount of money that you have a certain amount of money that you have. Y'all have a joint bank account that y'all put funds in and y'all still have things on the side that you can so that you don't have and then you're building towards a common goal. But see, sometimes in a relationship there are people who are not used to doing or used to handling. So when I look at HC, I was a single mother before I got married. So I was used to doing things myself too. So it was, it's easy for me to be like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. But sometimes, again, that person doesn't get the responsibility of being able to step up. But then I know the other side of it. I'm not going to hand the reins over to somebody who I don't think can handle it and is going to step up. So the conversation needs to be, or you need to look at the situation and tell them, because the man needs to know that he needs to be the man. He needs to have the responsibility. If you want to say that you are the head of the household, then you need to be the head of the household so that I can then not have. And there was plenty of conversations that I had. James, no, I had plenty of conversations with my husband, who was, my late husband, and told him that. So, you have to have the conversations and the hard conversations and say, what exactly is your role here in this marriage? If you are the man, and I'm your helpmeet or whatever, what is it you see me doing and what is it you see yourself doing? And if you don't get the answer that you want, then like James said, then you now have to have a whole reevaluation of this relationship. Right. Because yes, you have to have the hard conversation and ask, why are you here? I'm not going to hand over something to you, and nor do I want to be. I get tired of being the person who's the one who handles everything. So you want to be able to give it. I freely want to give it to you here. Please take it. Okay. So the conversation.
When you're talking with those things, and if a man truly is the head of the house, you ain't gonna like what some people ain't gonna like what I'm about to say, but it's the truth. If a man is truly the head of the house, he knows how to delegate things to his wife in that partnership. So if my wife is more financially astute than me, she got that. Okay?
Right.
She can make the budget. She can do the spending, those types of things like that. No, she can show me what's what. So I know I'm in the loop.
Right.
But if I can't divide and to matriculate a mathematical equation to get the budget correct, and I know she got a financial propensity to do these things, I'm going to give it to her. That's partnership. I'm not going to be like, I'm the man with the Bible said I'm the man. I'm going to stand up here and I know what I'm doing.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's why I said what I said, y'all. So, this is why I said partnership. Partnership between you working together. Okay, one cook, one clean. You understand? That's partnership. Okay? This is not caveman days anymore. This ain't the 1950s, 1915s, and all that stuff. We're in an economy where we need 2, 3, 4, 5 income just to make it.
But we have a lot of marriages that are stuck in that 50s, and I have some that's in my age group that are stuck in them 50s, where you do what I say.
Come on,
you and in my age group, they're not even the boomers.
Yeah.
You got the husband saying you do what I say, and the only thing she missing is some heels and red lipstick running around the house.
And that's where the problem comes in. And I'm not gonna go too deep because we try not to go down rabbit holes. But that's where the problem comes in, where women don't, we take the marriage vows and you like, oh, babe, no, nigga. I can't respect you. First of all, see, this is the thing. We got to follow a process, y'all, on our way to marriage. That's why we got to go through the courting stage and the dating stage, and we got to get to know who these folks are. You understand what I'm saying? Because the first person, like you said it, AJ, the first person that show up is the representative. That's someone that dress nice, smell nice, look nice, walk nice, talk nice. You understand? But when you get to know a person, you start peeling back those layers. You see who they are. You got to know who people are. When you get to know who people are and you decide to get married, then you have a foundation to build on because pretty much know this person. But you're going to keep learning them as you go along because you never truly know a person. but your spirit will tell you if that person is who they really say they are. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you get mixed up and crying up and all this other stuff, and now it's like, oh my God, I don't know. I don't know. And like you said, your age demographic right now, and I believe it because I've seen it, I agree with 100%. They are just like that because that's what their parents taught them. You know what I'm saying? I'm the man, and no matter what goes down, I'm the man of the house. Do what I say.
I'm the
No,
man in the house. Do what I
the
say.
Bible says you love your wife as Christ loved the church. Christ don't rule with an iron fist and knock people upside their head and all types of things like that and do what I say, do what I do. You know what I'm saying? God teaches love, kindness, compassion, those types of things. You know what I'm saying? If something is wrong with a midst and we have a disagreement, the Bible says get angry and sin not. I'd be mad all day, but I ain't going to jail over you.
Right.
You feel me? So that being
Right.
said, the scripture for this is Colossians
Mm-hmm.
and 3:13, right? And it basically says, bear with each other and forgive one another. So when you find these things that I didn't know you were like that, my God, you gotta like, okay, you know what, babe, let's talk about this. Even though, because you're compliment, you wanna work on it, and then you hard, and I see your face, you're like, no, because but see, that's what you gotta work on. That's what you gotta work on. You might not be
All
there yet,
right.
but that's what
So
you gotta work on.
I,
You gotta be able to
I,
deal with those
I,
things.
I'm to the age to where I'm no longer running because that was my thing. One inconvenience, that's
Yeah.
it. You gotta go.
Yes, you can go.
That's been my MO for until I got married, until I started dating my husband now. To where I'm actually sitting here and going, all right, we got to work this out because in one little inconvenience, I'm going. You got to go.
Mm-hmm.
The forgiving part. Some things, first of all, forgiveness does not have a time limit on it. Okay, some things might take a long time to forgive,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what the situation is. And let's just say cheating.
You know,
I'm I'm trying to find the words to.
all right, let me help you out. Let me help you out because I think I know where you're going. Let me help you out. So you said forgiveness, right? So let's talk about forgiveness and forgetting. Okay? So I
Mhm.
think people get that misconstrued and they kind of jam it all together. You know what I mean? Just because you forgive someone doesn't mean you have to forget what they did. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because if God
I
calls
agree.
God calls us to forgive, right? God calls us to forgive, right? But He didn't give us amnesia because if you keep letting
Mhm.
people, oh,
Uh,
I knew she was gonna fall out. I knew it. So
I think we froze.
what I'm saying is we gotta know how to do the forgiving, learn the difference between forgiving and forgetting. And sometimes, it's hard for us to forgive. And you just say something that was absolutely correct. It takes a long time for people to forgive someone because they depending on what you said. But once you forgive a person, you don't have to forget what they did. You know what I'm saying?
Of
Because
course.
you're not a fool, you don't have amnesia. And you don't want to repeat, you don't want to fall into the same type of situation before. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
you might be struggling with it or whatever, that kind of thing. But yeah, forgive them. However long it takes you to do that, forgive them. But don't forget, so both of them forget what they did.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because you open yourself up for them to do it to you again. You know what I'm saying? So when I remember how you did, but I forgave you for that, and I'm not going to bring it up. I'm gonna leave it alone. But 10 years down the line, and I'm like, you know what? I forgave you once. And then you got to use your own, your own brain to figure out how and if you want to, how you going to deal with that situation. You know what I'm saying? Because just because
Mhm.
you forgive a person over and over and over again, because the Bible says you could forgive them multiple times. Sometimes we as human beings, we're not going to allow ourselves to keep being trampled over. You know what? I
So
forgive you, but I can't deal with you.
think I think people are not clear on that multiple times. I don't think the Bible says forgive your husband multiple times or your wife multiple times for
No, no,
cheating.
no, no, no. See that
Multiple
people say
times. It
people
has to
say
be clear because
people
people will tell
people
you,
no listen
"Oh, you
listen
forgive him."
listen 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 listen. This is why I say you gotta listen. It doesn't say specifically husband or wife. Okay, it says when a person offends you, how many times should you forgive them? The Bible says 7 times 70. Okay,
7 times
what I'm saying,
70.
what I'm saying, because the Bible says that in other words, you should always be willing to forgive the person who brings offense to you. This is what I'm saying. Yes, do that. But if a person keeps doing it over and over to you, I'm forgive you this time, but I can't deal with you tomorrow night. You understand what I'm saying? The forgiveness is not for them. The forgiveness is for you to have peace of mind.
Mhm.
That's what it's for. So I can forgive you and I can move on. That's what that's for. It's not really
And
for them.
I want
So
to
say that's for you.
right. And I want to say, so in the subject of infidelity, again, you have to know what you can and you cannot deal with within your marriage. For both parties, you have to know. When you say that you actually forgive someone, because I did deal with this topic, so I can talk about it. For
Mm-hmm.
me, the topic of infidelity was a thing that when I said, okay, that I forgive, it's because the person showed me that they were not going to go down that path again. So I was able to say and put it in a compartment of this is something that happened. It was a rough patch or whatever that I went through and everything in my marriage. This is the decision that I made within my marriage. That might not be the same decision that you need to do for your marriage. That
Mhm.
might be your thing that you say, okay, no, this happened one time, I'm out. But
Mhm.
for me, it was something different. I had to know. And that person, my husband, had to show me this is not a path that we're going down again. We did the work because again, a lot of times in marriage, people don't want to do the work to say the words, but they don't want to do the work.
Mhm.
So it's more than just saying words. Oh, I'm not gonna do this again. This was a mistake. I cheated or whatever, and and it's not gonna happen again. And just flip it off and think you're supposed to get over get over it. A lot of people want to just get over it and sweep stuff under the rug. It takes work from the person who did it to prove that they're not going to do it again. It takes work for you to say, I truly accept them, so that when you actually say the words, I forgive you and we can move on, that you actually forgive. You don't forget it, but you forgive and you're not bringing it up. That's not the first thing that you think about every time y'all have an argument. He's doing this because the one thing I said when I had this situation or infidelity or whatever in my marriage was that I'm not going to be flipping through somebody's phone. I'm not going to be going through their text messages. I'm not going to be going and wondering everywhere they go or whatever and everything like this. If this happens again, then I know this is it. Okay, because I don't already went down this path. Lord, you gave me the forgiving heart and everything. We said we were doing the work. We're moving forward from here. We're going on from here or whatever, and that's it. So what James is saying is, and also the thing when you have to truly say I'm forgiven. If you have not truly forgiven the person and you all can't move on from it, and this is something that is then it's something. Then again, there's times you have to say okay, because again, for a man, like I said, he might be able to say, okay, well, I'm getting over it quickly or can move on from the situation. But you have not yet moved on. Women like to do this thing about we say that we moved on, but we haven't. Because the first argument that come up, that's the first thing. Well, you did this or whatever, and that back and this and all that, and bring that all back up. if you really truly forgive, it's not the first thing that comes up. You actually forgive and you moved on to the next thing. Because trust me, there's a whole lot of other stuff that happen in marriage that you
Mhm.
can be bringing up.
Mhm.
So it takes a person to truly forgive. Somebody do something to you, yes, it takes work. And if they're not giving the work or the effort and they just giving lip service, then that's a whole nother topic.
I think that's what I see a lot in my age group with marriage. Nobody's willing to put that work in. Nobody's been willing to put that work in. It gives, all right, we had an argument, we fought, we all quiet one day. The next day we pick up like nothing ever happened. So whatever that issue was, we never fixed it. We never did nothing. We just left it as it was. I see that a lot in my age group and with my peers that are married. I go, how did y'all fix it? We didn't. We just woke up the next day and kept it moving. So I think in my age group, the work, we don't know how to put the work in. We don't even know where to start at.
Right.
Yeah.
And right.
No one
And that
told
comes,
no one told
yeah.
us. I can't say my mother taught me, I learned from I don't even know where I learned marriage and love from.
A lot of things, a lot of things in marriage, you learn. I think it's on the job experience. You literally
mm,
learning through the marriage. I don't think there's not one person, and I'm saying, somebody knows better than what I'm saying. Based on my experience, I don't think there's one person, no matter how long they've been married, can truly tell a person how to deal with each and every situation in their marriage. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Because there's just truly no precise thing that says this is what you do when this comes up. You can use
Right.
biblical principles in general terms, but
Right.
stuff comes up and we just gotta figure it out. You know what I mean? We just gotta figure
Right.
it out. We use common sense, you know, and some of us we go to therapy, we go to counseling, we pray, we ask God, and that's what we do, you know. But to say what is the tried and true remedy to get my wife to listen to me, what do I need to do? I
Right.
can't tell you, bro. I don't even know. And
Mhm.
all I know is that that's all I know. I don't know. So what I do what I can do. You know what I'm saying? If I know there's certain things that she likes to get, flowers or whatever it is, I done messed up, I'm going to apologize. I did something crazy. I have to do what I know how to do. You messed up, apologize.
take accountability. That's step one.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. That's it.
Accountability.
And once you take accountability, everything should fall into place. I say should because you got some people who just love to argue. And if you love
Mhm,
to argue, you might need to be by yourself. Because who got time for
mhm.
that? Who got time for that?
Right. Right.
And
It's
you
not
talk about a
only
situation
right.
and you feel that way, and you feel like, well, nah,
Right.
nah, we don't do that. So you got to
Right.
reevaluate yourself. But like you said,
Right.
and so you can come in with this too. We really don't know. No matter how many classes we
Exactly.
take, no matter how many people we talk, because we was in church and we was in single ministry, we was in marriage couple ministry. And folks been married 50, 60 years, and we ask them, how did y'all do it? We pray. Know how to pray.
Right.
What prayer? Yeah. What prayer you did?
You know what I'm saying?
What happened? Like,
You know
was
Right.
this lightning that happened? What happened? What magical prayer was this?
what was it?
Right.
It was
Exactly.
just prayer.
Right. Mhm. And what the people don't tell you again in everything in life, marriage takes work. So,
Mhm.
and it takes two parties. You can't just have one party that's willing to work and the other party is not. It takes two people willing to work. So, and again, you have to know what you can live with, and he has to know what he can live with, and then y'all need to
Mm-hmm.
discuss what the both of y'all can live with. And and that's how you cut. You know what I'm saying? If there's deal breakers for you, then that needs to be discussed. If there's deal breakers for him, that needs to be discussed. And then you need to discuss, what does the marriage look like collectively? What
Come on.
do, because you got two people who are together and both want something out of this. What do we want out of this? What do we want? If we're going to do this for 20, 25 years, what does it look like? You got to do work marriage like when you work your life and they tell you when you're a teenager that you're going to make your 5-year plan, your 2-year plan, 3-year, 4-year, 5-year plan. What does our marriage look like to you in 5 years? Where do you see us in 5 years as a couple being married? Those, these are things, again, people didn't tell us. I told James, my mother and father were not affectionate at all. So, and that's another part of it, is that people that you did see who were married, a lot of times you take on things that you saw from them to do. That might have worked for them. That doesn't mean that it's going to work in your unit. My family was not, my mother and father were not affectionate at all. So I was not an affectionate person, whether it was my kids or whatever. So when I went into the marriage, I got a husband. He wanted to be holding hands. He wanted to be all over me and everything. And I'm like, you know, and so I had to, right, you know what I'm saying? So I had to learn to come out of myself, but I had to be willing to do that. I could not go through our marriage like, oh, don't touch me unless it's that time. You know what I'm saying? I had to learn how to come out of myself and change myself, in parts of me and things, and realize, okay, I can't be that standoffish person if this is somebody I want to spend my life with. He's affectionate. I got to learn affection. You got to learn what they talk about, the love languages. You got to learn what your love language is and things
Shouldn't
like
you be
that.
learning that in the dating process, right?
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that happens in your marriage, if you went through the process of courting and dating, a lot of stuff you would have learned during that process. Being affectionate, learning those love languages. You know what I'm saying? Those types of things. And I think that would help you navigate the processes or the stages of marriage. Because you're going, because if you don't know, I'll say it again, if you don't know the person that you marry, you have a serious problem. Because if you don't know,
And this is when that representative, that's just when sometimes, listen, I'm not talking about myself. I'm not talking about me. I know a lot of married people. That's when that representative done left the building and they carry on from dating all the way into the day you said I do and you wake up and this is a totally different person because now I got you.
But you got to navigate. You got to navigate past that costume, past that representative.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to get
Right.
beneath that surface because
So how do you know? How do we know who's the representative and who's the real person?
the
At
only
that
thing I
time you
can
don't know
tell
because
you,
I'm
the only thing I can tell you is your consciousness be your guide. That's the only thing I can tell you. That's one thing
Right.
I
And
tell you
you have to
because
go.
it's
Right.
there's red flags, that pop up.
Right.
If you
Right.
talking to this person and communicating with them, and there's gonna be something that's gonna pop up that's gonna make you say, wait a minute. You said this that Thursday, and here we are on Monday. You said something else different. You know what I'm saying? So that
Right.
facade is gonna crack somewhere. The only way you don't
Right.
see the facade cracking is you don't really care about it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
I
That's the only way you're not gonna
right.
see it.
This goes to your question earlier with the honeymoon stage. I guess we all saw the signs, but we refused to see it because
Right.
we was just so in love and this is where I wanted to
And it was
be.
good.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, but
People who have
like I
been,
said, we
yes.
live and we learn. We got to go through the process.
Yes. Right. People tell you who have been married or whatever and dating and things like that, that they tell you, yes, you have to look. I was on, James, know I'm always on social media and stuff. So I saw this pastor and he was up there and he was talking about, and he said that when he counsels people and things like that, and he talking about when they're dating. And it was so funny, Asia, because this popped into my head when we first had our conversation. And he was saying, okay, so, he tells you, oh, that he works or whatever. So these are the questions questions that you ask him. And he started going down his line. Okay, so where do you work? So what's your supervisor name? So how much you get paid? So how much do they take out for health insurance? So how much do they, you know what I'm saying? Have you met any of his coworkers? Have you gone by his job? Do he have any office meet? You know,
It's sad you got to go through that whole checklist
yes, you have to go
and
through that. And it was so
still be
funny because
deceived.
yeah.
You can do all of that and still.
Right. And exactly. I mean, me and my daughters had a conversation all the time. They have friends who was married, who got married in a year, and still married 5-6 years later, and they still happily married. Then you have ones who got married, knew each other, dated for a year, was engaged for another year, they got married, and within that year they got married, they divorced. So again, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's no template that says, okay, this is this is what it is. But only thing we could do again is step out, and find out as much information as we can find out about a person. Don't ignore red flags when the red flags are there. Don't just say, oh, well, this will change. Don't think that you can change anybody, because if you're not willing to change, they might not. They're not willing to
I think
change.
that that'd be a lot on the women part too, because we think we Captain Saver, and
Yes.
we want to fix it, especially if you have that nurturing spirit.
Right.
And
Right.
some of us be attracted to broken men,
Yes.
unemotional men, and we can fix them because my love shine bright like a diamond, and then now your diamond is starting to get cracked and it's not shining because we can't. I'm one of those people, yeah. That's how I know.
Yeah.
I have a nurturing spirit, and I think I can heal the world. Maybe that's because of my sign or whatever, but
Did you heal the world? You Michael Jackson as a healer?
I think I'm Michael Jackson. Heal the world, make it a better place.
Right. And,
All
and
right,
right.
so
And,
let's
and
go.
we can't.
They want
Right.
to.
And
They want to.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you got to do what you do. Do what you can do. That's all I can say. Do what you can do. So
all right.
let's go to number two, because number two was a doozy. So you want to talk about the power struggle?
Yes. Yeah. That's
Oh,
gonna
that's a
be the
stage.
right.
I thought that was stage 2. That's the
No,
stage
that
3.
was the giga.
Yes.
That was the reality stage, and in reality stage, we did bring up things like finances, but this is about control, conflict, parenting, family, priorities. Knowing what's important.
Right.
And
Here it says, right, James, it says conflicts over money, parenting, sex, family, and priorities, attempts to change each other, which you can't change, because one person, everybody, you can't have two leaders. Somebody's gonna have to compromise about something. And then many marriages end here because couples don't learn healthy conflict resolution, which means that everybody's talking and nobody's listening. When one person is talking, the other person needs to be listening and actually listening, and then vice versa. So then when you do then discuss it, you've already, you know what I'm saying? You don't preconceive, because sometimes we start talking and we already got it in our head, but we're going to say it, and we start saying it before the person even finished what they finished saying, and they wasn't even going down that path. So you have to learn how to the conflict resolution, and a lot of couples don't learn conflict resolution. It's just button heads, constantly arguing and things like that, and they don't get past that point. So this is where they said, like, the power struggle is where a lot of marriages end in this stage, because you don't know how to have an argument. We get into an argument. My husband want to go and pick up and leave and go to his mother's house. I'm like, oh, no, we are together. You can't just pick up and leave and go over to your mama every time we have an argument. We need to be able to settle this here. And again, and even in that, I had to learn, I couldn't just say things how I wanted to say it. Things would just fly out of my mouth. Okay. I'm not a person that like the whole things. I had to learn how you have to learn. You can't just let stuff fly out of your mouth. Okay. Sometimes if it takes, you get right. So he was the type of person that he wants to get past the argument. All right, we need to discuss and we need to discuss now and all that kind of stuff so we can get to the bottom of it and get it there. Well, I wasn't that way because if I discuss right now, it's going to come out and it's going to hurt your feelings and it's not going to be nice. And that's not going to solve anything. So I had to say to him, okay, we can discuss, but I need to take 5 minutes in another room, get my thoughts together, get out of what anger I got built up so that things won't fly out and it don't come out as a curse word or whatever else is going to come out as, so that I can then come back into the conflict and say, okay, this is how I feel in a calmer manner so that we can then now discuss it. So it's not escalated into a bomb. Okay. All right. So you have to learn what is the best way, how the best way you all can communicate to not be to not blow it up to a bomb. Okay.
So I have stages. I have stages to my bomb.
Yeah.
Sometimes, they can take me through there real quick. I'll start off with, and nice, and then next thing you know, I blink, it's a whole new different person. So no, I don't want to hear nothing now. I agree. Maybe I don't know how to do that. I've been that way for 46 years. That's how old I am. I don't know how to be no other way. I try to listen, but when I'm speaking and you're not understanding me or you're not listening, then that's when that other person comes out. I don't know. Maybe that's something I need to work on. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks need to work on the listening, the whenever they listen. Because I think people just they'll wait on the person so they can just get their point across, and that's what they want to do. You know what I mean? So yeah. Then they be like, yeah,
Mhm.
right, okay. So, but remember, like what I was saying was, you're not hearing nothing I'm saying. We're supposed to be having a conversation. We're supposed to be talking, and you're trying to win an argument.
Mhm.
Okay? So the question that we're going to talk about, I want to pose this question. Are you trying to win an argument, or are you trying to strengthen the marriage? What you trying to do? You want to win the argument? I won, I got it, I'm good? Or you want to take that opportunity to strengthen your marriage? What you want to
Both.
do? Go.
Both.
So it depends on the situation?
It depends on the situation.
Okay. Okay.
Um, if it, if it's something I know I'm 100% right about,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we going down. I'm going down to the ground, baby. But if it's a situation that needs to be fixed, let's fix it. So both. Me is both.
I can see that. I can see that because when you're let's look at it from a light to a heavy type of situation. The Knicks game was coming on tonight, right?
Hmm.
Everybody's in Nick mode. Everybody's in Nick mode, and y'all have a game like that, and you like, boom. I know it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, and then you're having this difficult argument. Like, it is what it is. It ain't that deep. Forget it. Right? We're not winning or losing,
Hmm.
but it is something that is important to the marriage, right? Something that's important to the marriage, something that will probably make or break how you feel about this person. Do you want to win that argument, or do you want to use the opportunity to strengthen the marriage?
To strengthen the marriage, let's work this out. Let's work this
Right,
out.
because it could, like you said, because it could be either or, because I'm not
It
disagreeing
could
with
be
your
either
assessment.
or.
It could be
Yeah.
either or, because it
Me
depends,
is
like you said,
both.
it depends on the situation. It could be, what's for dinner
Hmm.
tonight? You might get tired of eating chicken. You know what I'm saying? You
Or it
might
could
want some
be
steak.
I left my keys over here, and I know I didn't touch the keys. You put your keys over there, so now we're gonna argue because when you go look over there, where your keys at?
Mhm.
The same place
Exactly.
I told you to look at. See if you
Okay.
would have listened. So it depends on the situation.
It depends on the type of
You know how
situation.
you men
I
do
get
it.
it.
You know how you men forget things.
I don't forget nothing. I got a great memory.
They
Right.
forget where they put their keys, and we gotta tell them where it's at.
Right.
Nothing.
Mm.
The only thing I say this, I will say this. I will put something down, and I kid you not, this happens more often than not. I'll put something down here, right? And I know that place because I'm always going to that place. 10 times out of 10, I'll put it down. That's because I know I'm going right back to that place. My wife will move this thing, and I'll come back the next day, and I know where I put it. Hey, did you have such and such and such? I didn't see it, but I put it on the table last night. But you know how you are. You. I said, no, I know I put it right here. Then when I'm looking all over the house, and it's in the bedroom. And I'm like, I know full well I didn't put these eyeglasses in the bedroom. You understand? I put them where I know I'm always going to be.
But you know
Why
what
you moving
happens
my
on her end? Right, but let me tell you what happens now on her end, Asia. So she moved it, and then what happens with us, we forget that we actually moved it and then where we put it.
right,
Because
right,
you
right.
I've
know
been there.
we
I've been
right,
there.
Come
okay,
on, now come
so
on,
when he
please.
coming and asking, right, so when he's coming and saying, oh, okay, well, I put this here and everything, and at our time when he's coming to ask, it ain't coming to my head, okay, well, I might have moved it, or where even it is that I moved it, because half of the stuff we can't find our stuff either,
Right,
so we
right.
And
still in the same thing, but we
leave
right.
my stuff alone.
Shouldn't have been
Leave
there
it
anyway.
there.
Shouldn't have been there. That's our comeback. It shouldn't have been there.
But I
Right,
go in there, and I
exactly.
put nail clippers in the bathroom because you have to take a shower when you put the nails and everything like that. That's what I'm looking for.
It don't belong there. That's our go to.
When I get out there, but I'm here. It says, oh, Lord. Okay. Then
Mhm.
when I said, I put, I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
When I
Right.
put it in,
And
I'm
that's
like,
the
okay.
form. Right. And that's the form of compromise. It's like, okay, this is because at year 17 and 18, you realize this is just how it is. So it's
It
not
is
an
what it is
argument.
at this
You know what
point.
I'm saying?
Right.
It is
It
what
is, it
you
is what
know,
it is.
right. You know, there's certain things you have to know that there's certain things when you have an argument or something about or whatever, what is important to really be having an argument or a heated discussion about and what's not. That little stuff or things you have to be able to just say, okay, I'm just gonna let that go because you know it is
Yep.
what it is, and that's gonna be. Now
Yeah.
the things that's worth having a conversation or whatever about, then that's when you have to think, and then again you have to realize that there's not gonna be there. You gotta meet somewhere in the middle.
Gotta meet in the
Okay,
middle.
they gotta be somewhere in the middle, and you
I
also
think
have to
that's
know. Mm-hmm.
okay. So I got to finish.
Yeah, and you have to meet somewhere in the middle and you have to know who you're dealing with when you're having the conflict. Because some people, when you have a conflict, they shut down. Now you
Hmm.
all the way up here and they all down here because they done already tuned you out because they're not even gonna even have the conflict. A lot of men shut down when you start getting to the point where you at rah 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 and all of that kind of stuff. They done tuned you out and they done shut you out. You have to get them and engage them when they are at the point where you're not so high so that they can then hear you when you are passionate and stuff about something. Because that's why, again, men and women are different. We are highly emotional and we're all that kind of stuff. So men, again, don't know how to deal with that. So a lot of their mechanisms and stuff is shutting down, or they come back at you just as crazy as you coming back at them. And that's not getting anywhere.
No, it's not. You gotta learn how to de-escalate, and it was simply put, you gotta learn how to de-escalate certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta learn which battles to fight. You gotta pick your own battles. You know what I'm saying? Because some things is just not that deep. You don't want your marriage to go to
Mm-hmm.
hell. I said that over a pair of glasses.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't want that
That
to happen.
I think that comes from years of knowing your partner. Years of
Has
being in a marriage. Because when it
great.
first happened, it usually happened in that second stage. My husband can tell you, I divorced him 45 times already.
I know.
You left. I asked you to take the garbage out. He didn't take it out. Divorce. We're divorced.
No, no, I'm done. Over
Yeah,
some
I'm done.
long,
That's
over
it.
some
You
long
know,
years.
I'm not. You know, I think that takes some years. I
Yeah.
think of
Like I
maybe
said,
maybe
you got
around
this
year
work.
6, 7 years. That's when you start, learning. Listen, I picking and choosing my battles. I
Exactly.
think that takes some
Exactly.
time.
Yes, it
I
What's
does.
ain't
gonna happen
You're
in the
right.
no.
first set of marriages, in the first
Right.
couple of years and months? No, we
Mm-hmm.
going to bat for war in here, and that's how
Yeah.
you know what battles to pick, what battles to fight.
Yeah.
I ain't going there
And
with
that's
my wife.
exactly.
I ain't
Yep,
going there
that's
with my
it.
husband.
Listen.
Y'all don't know. She gonna
You
tear
know,
this
because
house up.
some things we just know. And like I said, I'm going
Right.
back to it again. When you go through that process of courting, dating, marriage, you learn who they are. You learn just how far you can take your spouse. You know what I'm saying? You can take them right up to the line, but baby, don't you cross that line. You know what
I'm
I'm
gonna tell
saying?
you something. Uncle. My husband didn't see my, you know me. I have my levels of Asia, but he never got to see that level. He got to saw a little bit, but he never got to see that part of me until we got married.
Representative.
Representative.
No, it wasn't a representative because I told you about. I'm an open book. I tell you, I am what you make me. If you treat
Mm-hmm.
me good, I'm gonna be the best of the best. If you treat
Mm-hmm.
me bad, this is the person your mama warned you about. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So it's up to you. I feed off your energy. What you give me is what I'm putting out. Okay. But he never saw that because we didn't really have that big conflict. Like we'll sit, we'll talk, but a big explosive argument did not happen until we got married.
And that's usually what happens. I
Yeah,
And
hear.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
he thought that person that I said that you don't ever want to meet. I guess he thought that was a myth, a urban legend. Until he saw her. And he don't. And you
Yeah.
actually said he don't ever want to see her. I don't want to bring her out. I'm scared of her.
Yeah, I think we all have parts of us that we don't want anyone to see,
I don't want to see
especially,
her.
especially if it's something, that angry part that comes out. We want to be uh, sociable. We want to be kind and that type of thing like that. But you don't ever want nobody to see you outside of your character. Because within everybody's character, there is that person that you don't want that person to see. Everybody, no matter who they are.
Mhm.
You can be saying
I
42
have.
years and no Jesus. And statements like
Yeah.
this. I'm waiting to come out.
But what Grandma said, I
Come
walk
out.
with the Bible, but don't think I ain't got
Right.
the devil in my back pocket.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because somebody have like, wait, you know? And we all have that type
With.
of, we have that on the inside of us. I do it like this. You know what I say? I do it like this. We have that David Banner syndrome. You know David Banner?
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-mm.
Incredible Hulk? The Incredible Hulk?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Banner. Bruce,
Mm-hmm.
he says David Banner. Bruce Banner. The
Mm-hmm.
Incredible Hulk. Bruce Banner walks around, he's mild and he's meek. As soon as you get him angry, boom. We all got that. We got that Bruce Banner syndrome. We all have it.
But mine's a little, when
Okay?
I go there, mine's a little more deeper. It's a little more sinister. I don't want to be there. And yeah, he took me through there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think he want to
But
take
you
me through
you
there no
know
more.
what's but you know what's funny? It to me, with me looking out on the outside and I hear you talking about all of this is because of the fact of your profession or what you're going to school with for. So my thing is that I on the outside see that you recognize when you get to that level.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that you're gonna have to get people who are going and gonna have those same reactions that you having that to not get to that level. So all of these changes and things that you're going through in your marriage or dealing with people and everything is gonna make you a better counselor when you have to be on the other side counseling other people because you have gone through that and you've gone through those stages and you're gonna know when that stage is gonna be come out and it's not going to be effective and it's going to be, you know what I'm saying? And you, okay, I don't need to go here to to way sinister and everything like that because that's not going to be effective to deal in the situation that I'm dealing with. So the same way that same way you're going to be able to talk yourself off the ledge is the same way you're going to save somebody else from going off that ledge. And that's what's interesting to me. That's what I like sitting back here on this backside listening to you talk because
That's it.
it's not a game plan. It's a game. It's all in God's plan of what you chose to take up and what you chose to
Mm-hmm.
do for your life.
That's it. That's it. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So
Hmm.
Hmm.
we talked about three stages so far. We
Yes.
talked about the honeymoon stage, the reality stage, and we talked about the what was that last stage we talked about? The power
That
struggle.
power struggle.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the
So
stuff. So
yeah.
we know,
I think a
yeah,
lot of us are still in that power struggle stage.
yeah, yeah. That those things that
We're
power
still
struggle
stuck there.
stage, it ends a lot of marriages because
Yeah.
finances play a big part in a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? A big part in the
Hmm.
marriage. I'm the breadwinner. I make more money than you. I don't need you because I make this, that, or whatever, whatever. So I should be running. I should be calling the shots because my check is bigger than yours. Those kinds of things. And those
Hmm.
disagreement over money will end marriages faster than any
Mhm.
other thing. That's why it's
Right.
important to have these discussions. Even if you didn't have them in the beginning, you got to have them at some point.
Hmm.
You got to always talk about money because you need
Right.
money in your marriage. Mortgage, mortgage costs money.
Mhm.
Groceries cost money. You
Hmm.
got kids, school costs money. You want to go on vacation, that costs money. You know, you want that Henny
Hmm.
at the store, that costs money. So you
I
got
know
to,
when
yeah,
I met before when we were dating, I wrote a list of things that I wanted in a man, and I put it in the Bible. And one of the things was he had to have a job. And he has to be financially stable because through my first marriage, everything was on me. So
mm-hmm.
I am a firm believer in your word speaks a lot. Write it down. Write what you want. And I
Hmm.
stuck it in the Bible. I didn't even look what verse I stuck it in. I just opened it and whatever page it was, and I stuck it in there.
That's
And then
it.
I had to ask God. I said, Lord, I didn't put down stubborn man. I didn't put that down.
Well, sometimes you get stuck
Lord,
with the work on your work that you need to work on,
I
so He
said,
don't give you no extra.
I said, understanding man. I didn't say stubborn. I don't think did I spell it wrong. But I'm a firm believer and write
Mm-hmm.
it down and put it in the Bible. Write it down. You don't have to
Yeah, that's
and
it.
listen.
That's a
Write it
biblical
down.
principle. That's a biblical
I
principle. You write the
Yeah.
vision
I
and you make
don't
it
know what
plain.
verse I stick it in. Yeah, I don't know what verse I stick it in. I just open the Bible, flick it, and stick it in.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Hmm.
And when you do things like that and you write down what you want, with God, and God can honor that. God will honor that. But He'll also put some extra sauce on it because there's some stuff
He
that
said,
He wants you to have, wants you to deal with to strengthen you.
"Oh,
So you might not have asked for that stubborn man, but you might get one because that's going to strengthen you. Because there's something along the line of your destiny that He has for you that you're going to know how to deal with stubborn people. And so, what they call that, i.e., your psychology degree. Because you're going to be dealing with people who have issues, circumstances, and situations that's going to be borderline stubborn, and you're going to have to deal with it. So God say here.
but you know what it was? It was patience. I didn't have patience.
See,
Hmm.
see, see,
I never had patience. Uncle,
see a pause
you
button.
know.
Come on,
I
bring
did
that
not
applause.
have patience.
Listen, that's it. That's it. That's the thing. See what I'm saying? I was gonna say that and you right here with me. You see what I'm saying? I was gonna say patience. When you don't have patience, God will bring all type of stuff in your life
Yes,
that will turn you upside down.
he brought
Yeah.
me the man in my life.
Come on.
And listen, he's the most slowest procrastinated
Come on.
person.
Come on.
I
Come on.
know.
See?
I have to have nothing but patience. I
You gotta
have
have
to wait,
patience.
wait, wait.
Exactly.
You gotta wait.
Exactly.
And that's
Yeah.
something that's not me. I am on the go. I
Yeah.
want it done.
See?
I want it now. I want it fast. And bam. And here I go. I gotta wait. Oh, I'm
You gotta
ready to
wait.
go. I'm dressed. Wait a
Hmm.
minute. I gotta wait for him to get ready and dress.
You gotta wait.
Right.
So
You gotta wait.
patience.
Patience.
I didn't put
Yep.
that down in my paper about that. I didn't say patience.
You know
And he
what
gave
I
me a
And
need?
man to give me
God will
right.
patience.
show you.
Yes.
Exactly. And even if you would have put it down, it didn't mean that he would have gave you that. Because
Right.
again, because men, is it more important that they do it or that they do it on your time frame? Again, they're not our kids. They're they're men. So
So that was
sometimes,
me. You got to do it
right,
when I say. And he'd be like,
right,
nope. And I'd be sitting
exactly.
up there waiting like,
Like, take
divorce.
Take the trash out. Take the garbage out. Okay, so let's play this game.
Yeah, after I watched it, the thing, I go in the room. 2 hours later, come back. The garbage. I said, but
What's
now
on? The second
divorce, divorce, getting a divorce. But yeah,
you don't get divorced
Patience.
over some
patience.
darn girl, please. Yeah,
No, that's
no.
me just saying in my head.
I know you're joking. I know
Divorce.
you're joking. But see, that's the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? You, we are, in marriages, we got our ups and downs, turnaround situations, circumstances, and stuff like that. And as we go along, we understand more because we're dealing with more. We're learning how to problem solve, how to compromise, how to do the work. So that's very important. Faith without
Hmm.
works is dead. Okay, that's
Right.
what the Bible says. And that applies with marriages as well. If you don't, you can believe your marriage is going to be fine. But if you ain't doing no work in that marriage, you're going to have a hard
Hmm.
time finding that fineness in your marriage because
Hmm.
you're not doing the work. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So when I believe it, so now what now you got to work at. You can't be always combative. You got to listen. You got to compromise. You got to forgive. You got to be like, okay, you know what? Let's talk this out. And if you need to get a third party involved, like counseling or therapy, do that. That's biblical. Okay, that's
Hmm.
biblical. Do that because we need therapy. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I saw a guy's podcast. I think Sarah, you saw the same one too. This guy was literally saying that church people are crazy. And basically said church people are crazy because they're always talking about the devil is chasing them. No, you got trauma. Instead of fixing your trauma, you like, oh, well, I'm going to go pray about it. No, what you need to do, I'm going to go pray in the spirit. Yeah, that's right. No, what you need to do is pray in English and go back. If you offended your wife, go apologize.
Mm.
Apologize. And you need to apologize. You need to, but I'm going to go, I'm going to do this and that. No, what you need to go, you need to go apologize. You need to go talk to your wife. You need to go work these things out. You know what I'm saying? If you need counseling, go to counseling. There's things that God has set up for us to do to fix our marriages. You know what I'm saying? The first
Hmm.
thing we
Exactly.
do as Christians, well, I'm going to pray about it. God just gave you the answers. The problem is we ignoring the signs,
Right.
Hmm.
the solution.
Exactly.
And that's where we get in
Exactly.
trouble. And I don't care what level your faith is. Your faith may not be as high as mine, if you will, or strong as mine. But if you have faith, you can work things out in your marriage. But you
Hmm.
gotta do the work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can
I
have
think that's
that,
what people. They don't want to do the
but
work on. They don't want to do the
they don't
work.
want to do the work.
Some of us don't even know where to start.
I'll be darned. If I would, why would you want to have? No, I'm not going to do that. No, but why would you want to have a wedding, $60,000 wedding,
Hmm.
and you got problems and you don't you got financial issues?
Right.
I'm buying me a house. You going to the courthouse? I am not seeing a bunch of hungry Negroes who ain't gonna bring me no type of gift. I'm going right down there downtown, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna take that money, and we're gonna invest it. You want a house? I'll be like Oprah. You get a house. I got a house. Give me a car. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm not gonna keep all them hungry people for you to talk about me on social media. I don't like that. No, that was hard. No. They gotta get together in the backyard. How about that? We have some hot dogs and some food.
Like the
We gonna
backyard.
get a soda.
Bye.
You know,
Goodbye.
you know, huh?
Nope. I'm gonna.
I'm not, what I'm saying is,
I get
a
what you're
lot of
saying.
people spend a lot of money
Yeah.
so they
To
can
end up
say,
divorced.
and they went, that's a bad investment.
I had a
That's what
beautiful
I'm saying.
wedding. My dress was beautiful. And then not even a year in the marriage, I talking about divorce. Or
If
you
your
have some people
marriage,
that's
no,
going
that's
through
it.
divorce and need to be divorced, but they're ashamed.
They
Right.
change because,
I know a couple of people that's going through it. Going through it.
and it's like,
them through it. And it's an embarrassment. Don't want to get a divorce because I will be embarrassed because, the
Mhm.
people
Right.
told her not to do it.
Well, that's
Right.
why we
Well,
have
one
to
thing,
be.
yeah.
No, got it. It's on you,
I
Carol.
just want to say for people who are in those type of situations, you should not be in a situation where you are unhappy
Mm-hmm.
and you don't do things for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You have
Exactly.
to do things for yourself. You have to muster up enough strength to know that without this person that I can do. A lot of people, like you said, stay in abusive relationships and things like that because of the fact of shame, isolation, feeling like they don't have anything to be able to go out there and and do it on their own. They haven't had to. This person put them in a situation where they are by themselves away from family and they know that their family is going to judge them or whatever. Trust me, your family would rather know that you're alive than somewhere in
Mm-hmm.
the grave.
Mm-hmm.
So to anybody, and I know James would be happy with this. If anybody who is in a relationship, as we're going through relationships and we're ending up this on marriage, anybody who is in a relationship and they are struggling and things like that, if you are no longer happy, go and seek somebody, talk to somebody that you trust. If you can, talk to somebody. If you can't talk to somebody, pray about it. Talk to God and let him lead you to come out of this situation. There are places and people that you can talk to that can help you. If you're in a situation where you feel unsafe or something like that, there are organizations that are out there. Reach out, talk to that family, get back in contact with the family member, whoever you can, that can help you to get out of the situation. Don't be I know a lot of people in society always talk about they want to be happy. They just want to be happy. But there's a difference of just want to be happy. And that, we all know we're not going to be happy all the time. There's going to be some
Right.
down times. But if you're in a situation, in a marriage and something, and you're being emotionally, physically abused, and it's just no turning back, get out. That's
Yeah.
what I can say to
Yeah.
you. Get out. And men get physically and emotionally abused just like women do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole thing that we, James and I haven't talked about, but men are
Mm-hmm.
in situations where women are abusing them as well. So if anybody who
Mm-hmm.
is in a
Yes.
situation like that,
Yes.
yes, get out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Get
that's
out.
one of the things
And
I
yes.
would agree with is to get the help that you need because you don't need to be miserable and married. That's not God, and that's not
Right.
God at all.
Gotta pick a struggle. Pick a struggle.
You gotta come on somebody. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta
Especially
pick a
Yes.
struggle.
you gotta pick one. Gotta pick one. You can't be
Gotta pick
miserable
one.
and married.
Can't do
So
both.
get the help that you need, and
Yes.
get the help that you need. You don't have to stay in that type of situation. So, this has been very interesting. I really thank my niece. I really thank my niece Asia. You have really been a joy to hear and getting your retrospective, if you will, on your take of marriage, and it's been a great, great, great thing. I want to thank you for
Yes.
joining
Thank
us
you,
Thank
Asia.
you.
on this portion of the Porch in the Pulpit podcast. And what I would say to you is that continue doing the work in your marriage. Continue to work on the things that will keep you happy and joyful. But most of all, keep God in your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Keep God in your marriage. I'm not telling you go to church. I'm telling you gotta be doing praying 14 times a day. All I'm saying is simply keep God in your marriage. That's all I
Mm-hmm.
say. That's all I say. Because and everything will be fine. You just do that, and you've been doing good. And I just, that's what I'm just thinking. I thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
So,
having me.
so if you have anything that you wanna, yeah. So if you wanna give us some last words, some words of wisdom, or anything that you have on your heart that you want to share.
For us young folks that's in my age group, put in that work. Put in that work. That's it. Start anywhere. It can be communication. Start there. Just put that
All
work
right.
in. Don't give up.
Put that work in. All right. So you heard it here, folks.
That work in.
Put that work in and don't give up. So, Sarah, what's good?
Yes. So, yes, Asia, we thank you for coming on the porch in the pulpit. And again, for those that are tuning in, we ask that you please subscribe and share and tune in every week. We're going to be, again, discussing relationships on our next podcast. And we're going to be we're going to be delving into those marriage vows. We get up there, we're all good about that wedding. We do more the investment of the wedding than we do the marriage. So we're going to be delving in to those marriage vows and what they actually mean before we actually walk down that aisle. So so we ask that you tune in to our next podcast. And again, thank you for joining us. Until we meet again, we'll be praying for you.
God bless you.